Hi, welcome to Crafting the Wild with Analia, the Hylian housewife. Sorry, it's been a few weeks. It may have been that we had 3 birthdays in April to celebrate, or it could have been the release of the new Demon Slayer movie. Anyway, we've been very busy, but we're happy to be back and doing another craft with you. We're going to be working on our Koroks, and to start out our Koroks, we've got these camouflage socks, because that's the beginning pattern on our Korok. So I ordered these off of the internet, I think from Walmart. They're just multi-patterned camouflage socks, and I figured that would give me lots of different Korok colors. So I got these large men's socks. That way we could get a couple different colors out of a couple different Koroks out of each pair of socks. So each pair of socks you can get 4 small Koroks from. So you have the large part of the sock for a larger Korok and the small part for a more petite Korok. So what we did first is we cut the top off, and then we cut them in half. So after we cut each sock in half, we're going to end up with 4 little portions that can be made into Koroks. Each sock has a bigger half from the upper sock and a smaller half from the smaller sock for a larger and a petite Korok. So with the 5 pairs of socks, you should be able to get 20 Koroks for your Korok hunt. The next step is we're going to take them and we're going to sew where the top of the Korok is, and then we're going to sew to make him some little legs. But we want to leave a space here because we're going to be turning them right side out and stuffing them with fluff. So before you sew them, you want to turn it so the yucky part of the sock is on the outside, because that's the part that after we sew it, we're going to turn them right side out so you can see the pretty pattern. So let's go to the sewing machine. Now we have all of these sock pieces that we've cut apart, and we're gonna give them a Korok shape. Here's our little guy of what they're gonna look like. We're not gonna do arms because we don't really want to make them any narrower. We're just gonna give them some little horns on the top and some legs. So the nice thing is we only have to sew. We don't have to sew the sides because that's part of the sock. We just have to sew right here. The important thing to remember is on one of the sides to only sew part way so that you have a hole in the middle to stuff with fluff. We'll do the bottom part first, and this will be our legs. It helps if we turn on the sewing machine. Okay, so I've sewn one side. Now I'm going to leave a little bit of a space right here so that we can stuff him. And the great thing about these is they can all be different. You just want to make sure you have a little bit of a curve for legs and for the horns. So after I sew it, I'm going to trim it back a little bit. I'll make it easier to turn out. There we go. And there's a little hole. I left a very little hole. I might want to do a bigger one next time. On the top, I want a bigger difference, so not just such a gentle curve. I want him to have kind of little horns. So I'm going to do one side tall and the other side a little shorter. And then I'm going to trim around it about 1/4 inch. Makes it turn out a little better. Then we can flip him around. So you open up the hole you left, which is always smaller than you thought it was going to be. But these socks are pretty stretchy, so you just keep pulling and he flips right side out. Now you can stick your fingers in there to pop his little legs out. Or if your fingers are kind of big for that, you can use a crochet hook or something. Not too sharp, but a little pokey, or like the eraser end of a pencil is good. Okay, and there we have our little Korok body ready to stuff with fluff. These are really easy to stuff. There's your hole. Poor little Korok. I'm gonna make him chubby and cute. Stuff all that fluff in him. Get some up in his little horns. I assume those are horns. He just has a weird shaped head. I don't want too much. Ah. Okay. I'm just using polyester fiber fill for this. It doesn't really matter which kind you use. You could even, if you have some old pillows that you hate, you could take the stuffing out of those and put it in there. Okay. Just want to make sure he has enough in his legs and everything to stand up a little bit, because I want mine to stand up sometimes, depending on where I'm hiding them. So once you have it stuffed, you can kind of feel the body, and if you feel a spot where there's just like not anything, you might want to grab another little piece and stick it in there. All right, and then he's ready to sew closed. We're just gonna tuck these in and sew right here. I'm using a color thread that goes with his, well, it's found in his camouflage color, because I don't want to hand stitch all these. That seems like a lot of work. And he's ready to go. So the first Korok that we did a pretty detailed face, and then we made about 50 Korok bodies and decided that was not going to work for all of them. So we just picked out some shapes that we thought were good, that we liked from the game, and made some little patterns, and we're going to cut them out, and they're going to be one color per face. Just used a Coke box, a cereal box or something like that. Some kind of thin cardboard makes a good pattern piece. And we're just going to cut out one color per face. So they're not going to be detailed, but that way we can make millions of them. Here's a little bit of a lily pad one. Okay, and this one will be the leaf that my kids call the pickle face guy. So we need a few of those. I figure it'll be fun for them to discover the different kinds. Maybe they can try and get one or two of each. I'm a little sad not doing super detailed ones, but really that's unrealistic. Maybe I can do a couple really detailed ones just for around the house. Now I'm going to try to do some in some fall colors. This is, I think, Little Oki's face. That is my daughter's favorite, my youngest child. She loves Little Oki, I think because he's little. If he was just Oki, she wouldn't be interested. So I can comfortably cut 2 layers of this felt at a time. More than that, I might need some more serious scissors. There, he's got that little cutout on him. And then also we're gonna do some pink and purple ones. There are a couple sort of pink and purple tinged Koroks, and this is just me trying to please my little daughters as well as my sons. So we're gonna have some pink and purple Koroks. They'll be cute. Now we've cut out a whole bunch of faces, and we have a bunch of little Korok people. And I'm starting to match the different designs that I want for the different Koroks. And we're just going to use buttons to attach them. And how Koroks usually have one little eye and one big eye, enough to make them look a little wonky-eyed and silly. So I'm going to choose just 2 different buttons to figure out how I want these. And then I've got some embroidery floss on an embroidery, a tapestry needle actually. And I'm going to come in through the back. And then I'm just going to tie it on this other side to attach it. There's one eye. You can do both sets of buttonholes if you want, but I didn't want to. So it'll be a little faster. I didn't pull it all the way through. That was a close one. And just pull it tight on the back. There we have our first little Korok face. It's a very simplified version so that we can do lots of them pretty quickly. And here's another one, the mustachy guy. And I'm going to try to get some good variety with the eyes. I would have loved if I could have found some triangle shaped buttons. I thought would have been fun, but I haven't seen any such thing in the store. If you find some, let me know. There, and then rather than me spending a couple of hours on one Korok face, I'm getting them done really quickly so we can have a whole bunch of Koroks for our Korok hunt. But I still think they're very cute, even though they're a little bit more simple. Here we go, 2 down, 1,000,000 to go. So now we've got all of our little Koroks. They're all different. They'll be fun to find in the forest. This one's my favorite. And we're getting ready for our Korok hunt in a couple of weeks. But next week we're gonna be making a champion's tunic for your little Hylian at home. So join us then. In the meantime, please hit like on your Sheikah slate and give us a rumble. We'll see you next week.